A lot of antibiotics to do experiments with my bacteria sample on. So I was wondering what I'm gonna do next, and I got a pretty cool idea. So anyway, I'm gonna show you guys it. So I have just had my bacteria sample in the refrigerator for the past couple days. I just took it out. I wanted to cold enrich it. So yeah. But anyway, what's really cool is this idea that I got. So the maximum salt experiment. So my sample of bacteria, I'm like 90% sure it's either yersinia enterocolitica or aeronomas hydrophilia. So why enterocolitica? Most strains can survive 5% salt concentration. So anyway, and aeronomas hydrophilia showed long-term halo tolerance even at elevated 6% sodium chloride, and a lesser sensitivity to salt at low temperature. So low temperature and salt, yeah. So essentially what I did is I cooked up a batch of agar, except this time I also added 1 tablespoon of salt, so that the concentration was 5%, maybe 6%. It was a little less than 5%, but then again, beef gelatin also contains salt, and all of the other ingredients contain small amounts of salt. So yeah, neither bacterium can survive at 7% salt, like some high salt agar. So salt agar is used to mannitol salt agar. Salt agar has a very high concentration of salt, 7.5%, because it selects for staphylococcus bacteria, which is staph or MRSA infections. MRSA is the antibiotic resistant strain. But yeah, a lot of species of bacteria have surprisingly high salt tolerances. However, the species that I want to extract have a 5% salt concentration. And by making a agar with 5% salt, I can somewhat decrease the number of other species that can grow on the agar and compete with my bacteria, which is also going to help in purifying it. Enrichment is not only going to be about salt concentration, but it's also going to be about thinning out my bacteria into individual colonies. A couple times I've done this, I was really lazy and I just dumped out the bacteria liquefied agar culture onto a nuke agar culture. And this means that there are different types of bacteria and fungus that have built up, and essentially to isolate the one that I really want. Rid of these contaminating species, I sterilized this and scraped it into the trash. But to isolate these species, right? To isolate the species from contaminating species, I am not only going to use a salt agar, which will kill off some of the funguses and other bacteria that might be competing, but I am also going to use an inoculating loop again, and I am going to. So essentially I have a bundle of wire at the bottom, and I heat that up with a lighter, then I stick it on the clean culture until it cools, and then I use it to inoculate the next one. Actually, there are other species of bacteria which don't have high salt tolerances. Particularly a large portion of E. coli 0157H7 strains. 57H7 E. coli is one of the few bacteria which could be, we could be mistaking it for, right? However, salt at low temperature, I believe that we can potentially kill a lot of contaminants that have entered the culture this way. Using the new cultures, I made a bunch of smaller cultures instead of a big mega petri dish. A lot of the smaller cultures are taking a really long time to solidify in the freezer. I believe it's because of the salt. You see, salt actually lowers the freezing point of water, meaning that it could be preventing the cultures from gelifying. However, they have begun to gelify, so I'm not that worried. So very first culture to solidify As you can see, it has the salt, but it's basically the other recipe. I even have the ox bile. Essentially, it is going to be the same exact culture that I have been using, except just the salt. And I still have 90 more batches that I can cook up with all the ingredients I have. So yeah, now I'm gonna heat the inoculating loop up really hot. On the new culture, it usually smokes when it's cooling on the new culture. This time it didn't quite as much. I mean, I couldn't get it on film because I've only got 2 hands, but yeah, we cool it on the new culture, and finally we take the old culture and we take a sample of the bacteria and we rub it on one side. And then the next step is to heat this up again and sterilize it after wiping it clean. We heat this up again to sterilize it, and this kills all the bacteria on it. And the reason we are doing this, then we cool it, and once it's nice and cool, we rub it back on this side and we spread out the bacteria a little bit more, and we essentially keep repeating the process so that the bacteria that we gets increasingly diluted, so that at the end we might even get individual colonies, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, back in my mini freezer that I use for bacteria for a little while, since I didn't feel it was liquid enough. I'm going to take it out and finish the inoculating process when it's done. And I'm going to flush this stuff down the toilet since I no longer need it. Still cook up 90 more batches of this since I've only used 10 pills and it comes with 100. And I bought enough ingredients to cook up exactly 100 batches. So, fridge for a little while, and it's had a little time to harden some more. Now I'm going to heat it up, inoculating loop up again, and repeat the process. I'm also going to add a little piece of tape to the end. Yeah, it burns off the plastic on this metal. Alright. Now, I'm just scraping it this way. Try and move the bacteria this way, because I don't really care about the regular inoculating process as much this time around. Essentially, I'm just trying to get the first one inoculated, because I made a lot of these cultures actually. Essentially, I'm going to close this culture and I'm going to put it upside down at room temperature in my room. So, actually, I'm going to keep it right side up for now. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next video. That I'm going to add it to my fridge for a little while, because salt tolerance is apparently increased with decreased temperature in these species of bacteria. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next video. This is going to be like a cold enrichment cycle combined with separation cycles and salt tolerance.